I want to be able to play this back later, so I'm just hitting record now. So if you've just joined us, welcome for this live book reveal of the Beetle Experience. And I've walked through a lot of this, like it's been challenging. Like when you think about losing your friend and then all of the stories, and for those that knew Beetle, you know all the shenanigans, everything that we were involved in. Just friends for life, and just a very important story, I think, kind of woven into Beetle, his being, his humor, his joy, and as you know, never shaking his fist at God right to the very end. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a few things. I got my notes to keep me on track. I have a tight deadline on this. I got to make sure that I'm done with the live by 2:45. So I'm just trying to do my best to keep myself to that. But if you have comments and questions and things, I would love to be able to interact. I do have a section in here to answer questions, or if you've got comments, then that'd be great. We'll do that toward the end. But let's walk a little bit through this journey of making a book about your best friend. Last year, and I think all of this, I was going to look up the date and I forgot to, but I think it was March. I'm having a conversation with my sister. We're talking about Beetle. We're talking about friends for life. And my sister made a comment. She said, you know, a lot of people don't have a friend for life. Friends come and go, as we all know, but to have somebody that's a really close friend through the entire, for the entire journey is a very, very rare thing, especially today's age of just pulling up the phone and this kind of like superficial contact with people. And that's, there's something lost. So she challenged me. She said, if anybody was going to write a book like that, it'd be you. If anybody was going to write a book about Beetle, it should be you. So I that was simmering in my brain for a while. And I got thinking, well, if I'm going to start writing a book, how do I even do this? What does the approach even look like? So I got into my office space. Well, we were still in North Carolina at the time. We're in Maine now, but we were in North Carolina. And I had a whiteboard. My wife had, I think, just given it to me for, I think it was Christmas. So this was March. And I just started writing down little tags, little lines that would prompt different stories about Beetle. And then I just started sitting down and I started writing. And I wrote about 2,000 or 3,000 words in a single sitting, and which was great progress. And then I got up and I took a walk and I started thinking, I'm like, this just doesn't do it justice. Putting all of these words down, it's true, but there was something hollow about it, because I think it's really hard for us sometimes to sorry, my chair keeps going like this a little, the pneumatic thing in it or whatever just keeps moving down. So if I get too low in the frame, I'll start to lift myself up again. And I do have some wonderful hot chocolate here. Glad I didn't spill that on the keyboard. It's got Lucky Charms in it. That's a good choice. Frosted Lucky Charms inside hot chocolate. It actually had a packet with the hot chocolate. I was like, ooh, sweet. In my Danforth, Maine mug that Beetle got for me. So he's in the room. Oh, I also have a couple hats right here. Beetle used to wear, or he used to wear this one. And if you ever saw him with his wore out Moose Commander hat, that's kind of in the book a little bit. Not the hat itself, but the Moose Commander kind of story, moose hunting story is in the book. But this is a hat he got for me, and I use it for hunting. Don't wear it too often, but that's there. So with this writing, it's all down. What I was saying was the book was, the words seemed hollow. You've got this man that's kind of like larger than life. How do you ever express that on written form? And so I started to think, like, this isn't a story you read. It's something you watch. It's something that you're a part of. It's an experience. And that's where the Beetle Experience title came from. For those of us that knew Beetle, knowing him was an experience. And so I started to rethink how I was already writing And I just had like, I don't know, 4,000 words, something like that down. So it wasn't major adjustment, but I thought, and I would say God inspired me with this. It needs to be the stage of life, and the audience needs to be the reader, and they're seeing everything played out on the grand stage. And that's when I was like, that is it. It is a play. And so many of the stories then that were in me were able to come to life in script form, with the spotlight helping and the props and everything on the stage helping set the dynamics of the scenes. And this is, we'll get into that, what genre this ends up falling into. So I had this idea, and I started writing, and I started putting on my whiteboard all of these little story tags to keep me reminded of I see a couple people, Kimberly Hutchins, Marilyn Stoddard, Ginny, you got Amanda, I'm so glad you're here. Oh my goodness. So great to have you guys a part of this, Mark. Great to share this with you all. So I sat down and I started writing. By the way, I'll keep doing that. I'm like a rabbit a little bit, because the screen that I'm going live on, the comments are not refreshing. So I have to keep going back to my Facebook page to check, look at the live and see your comments. So I do see those there. I just kind of keep switching. And I sat down and I started just pounding out these stories. And before long, I had 45,000 words, and I wrote those first 45,000 words in 10 days. Just sitting down, hammering it out. Meanwhile, at the same time, I'm also looking for a job. I'm applying to jobs and all of that. At the time, this is back in March and April. And so 45 in 10 days, 45,000 words. And I thought, this is obviously the Lord is at work doing something in the midst of this. And I want to make sure you understand that this book is not about idolizing a man, idolizing Beetle. There's a story thread that's woven through his life, and right to the very end, how he handled himself in his last days. That is a very important story for people to read, to see on the stage, this stage of life setting that the book takes place in. It's also, by the way, it's not a idolization, but I would have to say it's also not focusing on faults either. I think none of us want to be remembered by our faults. And I've got faults. Beetle had faults. We all have faults. I don't think any of us want to. So if somebody's reading the book, well, what about this? And Beetle got angry at things. And yes, he had anger. There was a temper that came out, flared up. Some of us close to him saw it the most, probably. But that's not the point. The point is not about the faults, and it's not about idolizing. So there's two real extremes there that it's not about. So with that, I've got this raw material, and I've just got no idea what to do with it. So I end up doing some research online, trying to find a book publisher. It's not really in manuscript form. It's kind of like a lot of raw material. And I'm trying to figure out how to kind of get this unlocked so it can actually turn into book form. And I just don't even have a clue where to go. So I start searching around. I'm looking for a publisher, and I'm kind of looking for a Christian publisher because, specifically the ending of the book's got quite a spiritual element to it. I want to make sure that doesn't get lost, and I've got no idea. So I'm digging around online, and I find this publisher, Spirit Media, in Raleigh, North Carolina, just like right close by. I even had the opportunity to go over there and meet their CEO, Kevin White. Fantastic to meet the guys over there. I was thoroughly impressed with the quality of books that they were publishing, and that they're really focused on getting your story out. So if you've got a book idea, man, you should check out Spirit Media, spiritmedia.us. Check them out and connect with them if this is if writing is something that you're just getting into or want to kind of like get your story out there. Great, fantastic people to work with over there. So now I had some raw content and I had a publisher, and then it begins a lot of editing and walking through this process of what does it take to actually, and I mean, I'm up to my eyeballs in this trying to figure this stuff out. But the team over there was really great and helped walk through a lot of these challenges with getting the book published. So I'm going to break right there for a second, get a sip of hot chocolate, check out the comments here. Tasha Potter's here. By the way, Tasha, you're in the book. Kim, guess what? Ty is in the book. Ty is, I won't spoil it for anybody who doesn't know. So I'm going to just leave it at that. Kimberly Hutchins' husband, Ty, is in the book. I got Lucky Charms on my lips. So I've got all of this kind of coming together now and really get into the editing. And I was really overwhelmed with just the entire process and what needed to happen. When I started interfacing with Spirit Media, they looked at my manuscript, they read down through it, and they said, this probably needs to be like a play memoir hybrid. And I'm like, I have no idea what that even is. Is this a new genre? So I started digging around and looking online. Well, it's apparently not a new genre of writing. It's a hybrid style, and a few people have written books, and I'm not going to get into any of that here, but there's some pieces out there that are written with this kind of style. And so it kind of goes from watching things play out on the stage to a memoir narration where I step forth and give context and then step back, and the scene continues to play out. So that happens all throughout the book. And when you read it, you're really kind of reading it like a play. So it will say Dana, and then maybe a stage action, and it will have the text underneath, and that's basically the line you're hearing. So it goes back and forth like that very quickly. It's not these long, drawn out diatribes of, these different things. It's kind of quick moving and gives you stories, snapshots of stories in a short period of time, which is, for us at New Beetle, that's what he lived. He was the storyteller. He could spin something together on the fly, and it would be so convincing. He was so deadpan about it and is so convincing about it. Nobody would have a clue that he wasn't anything but serious. Those of us that knew him well could kind of read between the lines and kind of knew his thought process a little bit. And then he'd crack some joke or whatever, quip, and then all of a sudden break the ice, and funny would just, we'd all just be laughing. So that is kind of like a little bit about how the book is written. Now, I want to tell you something that I think is very key, and you'll read about it in the book. But I do a lot of journaling. I love to journal, and I think that God was really using journaling in my life to help me push through the challenges. And you're going to read some about that, particularly in the last two acts. The 6 acts. And the last 2 acts kind of key in on the final days and all of that. And journaling and spending time with the Lord was something that really got me through. So much to the point that I released, and kind of inspired by George Mueller. If any of you know who George Mueller is, George Mueller built these orphanages back in the 1800s, and he was just a man of faith. And he treated his prayer life like a ledger with the Lord. So he would pray, and he would jot his prayer requests down, and then he would make responses on how the Lord answered his prayer. So I said, I need that. How do I do that? And so I started with a little black notebook, and I just started jotting down prayer requests and then reminding myself how God answered the prayer. And it gave me a place where I could go that I could be kind of rooted. So anytime I'm like, God, you're not there, you don't listen, you don't hear my prayers, I would come back to that prayer journal and I'd flip in the past and I'd see, oh my goodness, yeah, God is there. He is answering these things in my life. And I actually have these available, by the way. Here's a newer version. I think the latest one has this is all just white across this section, but it basically is just a date and your prayer request, and then a date and the response on the other page so that you can keep track of the things that God is doing in your life. And for me, going through all of this was all just super critical rooting, foundation, grounding in Scripture to push through this. And let me tell you what, a lot of this, I was praying through the Psalms, through a lot of this. Praying through the Psalms is very challenging. When you'll read some Psalms where David is pouring his heart out to God and says, Lord, where are you? God, where are you? Arise, save me from my enemies. And then goes on. And sometimes there's just not even a resolution. And I think so much of the time we're looking for the quick win, we're looking for the quick resolution, that we think if we're going through challenges that we're just kind of maybe not where God wants us to be. Well, the challenges I was going through at the time, I knew that is exactly where I needed to be. I was in the place in time that I needed to be with Beetle right to the end, and there was just no question in my mind. This is what I must do. So journaling was very foundational for me. So there's something I'm going to read to you, and then we're going to get right into the book reveal. I've got some Christmas presents underneath. Where is it? That tree right there. So we're gonna open one of those up and do a little book reveal. But before we do that, I was thinking about this just kind of scene of life thing, this stage of life, and let me pull this up. So if you'd bear with me, I'd like to read you a little something that I think is pertinent to the whole Beetle experience, the whole Beetle story here. It is quite possible that when we meet certain people of significance, we refer to them as larger than life. I think for many of us, that's what we thought of and still think of when we think of Beetle. He was a man larger than life. Some would describe him as a walking comic strip, a guy that could break the ice of life's hardest challenges with a quip, a smile, or a gesture. We think it important to hold special reverence for certain people like this and think, wow, he or she really impacted a lot of people. If you were in the Danforth area when Beetle passed, you would have witnessed over 50 people from the community coming to Beetle's small home and experiencing his humor just one more time before he passed. Live, in person, and raw. It was an impact for many of us that will never be forgotten. 2 Corinthians 3:2 says, You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. That's a reading from NIV. Those of us that knew Beetle well read that letter every day, watching Beetle's, how he responded to various situations, particularly in these last days that you'll read about toward the end of the book. Now I invite you to pivot a little. Let's think about life from a different angle. Instead of from the perspective of here on earth, let's think about it like a theater. Imagine with me the theater of time, a vast and expansive theater where you can turn and watch anyone or any place in history. Each person has their own stage, and sometimes the stage of one person overlaps with others in a network of performances that make these letters of our lives a real and living testimony that is either a denial of God or a confirmation of Him. Those of us that knew Beetle well know for a fact that he did not lift his voice in anger at God for his cancer. He never raised his voice. He never shook his fist. In some way, We say his behavior was larger than his circumstances, even when his circumstances were bleak. In a way, we might even say Beetle showed himself larger than life right to the end, keeping his humor until the Lord took him home at 6:14 a.m. on July 1st, 2023. We might say it was exceptional. We might even say somehow it was impossible, yet somehow possible. We might say it was a miracle that a man that lost his father, then his youngest brother, then his mother, did not shake his fist at God. Here's the thing, and I want to sink in, please. Beetle is not unique in being larger than life. You are larger than life. Your life, like Beetle's, cannot be reduced to a life without any human interaction. In fact, the decisions we make every day ripple into the expanse of space and time and can bring joy into the lives of those around us. Like the theater of time, proposed just a little bit ago, with billions of stages and characters intermingled, you also live a life where you have your own unique story that is bigger than you. You have a life of impact. You can touch others and even let Almighty God touch others through your own existence. And to me, that is very exciting. Please note that this book is not about idolizing a man, Beetle. It is about living with joy and dying with peace. So I invite you now to join me in a much smaller stage with a man full of humor, joy for the Lord, and a wit knit into every fiber of his being. Join me now for the unveiling of the Beetle Experience. And we're going to open that up right there, right now. I'm going to take a sip of this cocoa. I want to savor this moment together with you all. There's so many supporters that have just been a tremendous blessing to me and through this entire journey. And I want to be able to share this and just enjoy it with you. My phone's ringing. I don't even know where it is. Come on. It's breaking the moment. Oh, it's underneath this piece of paper. Well, I don't know who it was. Not important enough, I guess. All right. So let me go grab a book. I think I grabbed my scissors. I might not have the scissors. Maybe I don't need the scissors. Let me make sure we got this good on camera. Oh, you know what? I actually have a clip of me opening it for the first time. Do you actually want to see that clip first? And then I'll open this one? Let me know in the comments. I'll wait just a second before I open it. But I actually have a clip. Angela recorded me opening up the first copy, which is right now in the hands of Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen Whiteman, who is in the story, she's got the first copy of the book. Let me do that. Let's go for it. Here we go. So we'll come back live in just a second, but this is a pre-recording. All right, I give you 3 guesses what came in the mail today, and the first 2 don't count. Let's check it out. This is the long-awaited moment. Now, before I take this out of here, I just have a word to say to my supporters. Thank you all so much for making this possible. Without your help, this would be even longer of an endeavor. But I'm so excited to bring you the Beetle Experience. You're seeing the cover before even I get to see it. The Beetle Experience, Living with Laughter, Dying with Peace, by yours truly, Dana Morrison, which I'm so relieved on because the shipping label actually said Dana Morris. I want to make sure nothing got changed during the shipping process, but no, it's Dana Morrison, and there it is. There's the back. Honey, what do you think? Your husband's a published author.
Great job.
That's it. Great job. I won't spoil the internals yet. I'm just savoring this moment. It's in print. It is finally in print, and it's been such a long process and a labor of love. And just, it's been, for me, it has been it's been therapeutic to remember my best friend in this way. And I'm thrilled to bring this book to you all. I hope that you enjoy it. Have a great day. All right, let's do it again anyway, just for fun. So I've got a package here. Let's rip her open. And there we are. There it is. Living with Laughter, Dying with Peace. I just can't believe all of the support, by the way, that has gone into just everybody. Raised just $4,000 to get this published, and I mean that's a lot of money. I mean, we had a lot of people that we had, I think, 23 supporters that gave $100 or more, and without that support, this would not have happened. And by the way, I do need to, before I get into showing you where you can get it, I do need to explain something. My hope was that the copy of this, the copies of this for the supporters would be here well in advance. And that just has not happened. So I made a promise to my supporters, like that we'd get them their in-hand copy faster, and I have to apologize that it's taken long. They're kind of trickling in. So I got 5, and then I got 5 more. So these 5 will go out to 5 more people that gave at least $100 toward the project. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? I've got these supporters out there, kind of left them on the lurch, and they're supposed to have their copies in hand by now, and that hasn't happened. So I decided to do a little thing with Caleb, and I said, Caleb, what would it take to make a Beetle Experience fridge magnet? And so this is what he came up with right here. So for those of you who are those early supporters of the book that gave $100 or more, you're getting the book along with this special gift from me. There's only 45. 45 was Beetle's favorite number, by the way. So I had Caleb make 45 of these. So there's only 45 of these out there. And so you're going to get your copy of the book and this as soon as the books come in. I'm going to be getting the local ones out there first, and then getting the shipping ones rolling as soon as possible. So you can look forward to that and having a fridge magnet, a Beetle Experience fridge magnet. And man, didn't Caleb do a great job on that? It really just it looks like it's that picture. It is that picture of Beetle. I think one of the last pictures that was taken of him. It's also a picture that is going to be in the book. It's not going to be in the book. It is in the book. Okay, so reveal. We got the book cover and the back of the book. And you can read. I'll let you read that. Where I'm going to show you where you can order. But if you want to get a closer look at the back of the book and read what's written there, you can. Okay. So the formatting, we talked about the formatting. And this is that kind of play style formatting. So it's acts and scenes. So that's what you're going to see in here as you read this. It's all acts and scenes. Okay, let me explain to you where you can get this. And before we do that, let me just hop over. Make sure that if you've got questions, by the way, you stick them in the comments. I'm going to be getting to the questions fairly soon, fairly quickly. So make sure you get those in the comments. But let me show you where you can get the book. There are a few different places where you can get the book. One, let me switch over to my camera. Okay, so beetlebook.com, and by the way, you do have to put the www in, www.beetlebook.com. Now, I'm going to tell you, like I said, I've got 45 of the copies with the magnet. Okay, so if you want a copy with the magnet, again, all of the supporters are getting their copies first for helping fund the project and getting that off the ground. So that's all in a thank you card and little gift bag. You all have priority, by the way, for supporters. Now, I do have a limited number of signed copies with the magnets, but the problem is it's in the same boat as the supporters. I'm still waiting for them to arrive. They should have all been here by now, by today, but it's taken a little longer than expected. If you are local to Danforth, now listen, if you are local to Danforth, this could be an avenue that you might want to do. So you can get a limited, you can get a signed copy with the free gift. But again, this is only for pickup in Danforth, and it's not immediate. I'm still waiting for them to arrive. So there's nothing that we can do about that. It's just my hands are tied until I get them. Now, step number 2 here, another way you can get it, and it's going to be on spiritmedia.us. And let me see, I was told it was on here, ready to go, but do not see the link. The link might be popping up later today on Spirit Media. So another way you'll be able to get it is the spiritmedia.us bookstore. So that's spiritmedia.us, and then when you go to their homepage, you go to resources, bookstore, and you'll be able to get it there. And apparently we're still waiting for that link to go live. They also knew, by the way, that this was... All right, I give you 3 guesses. Sorry about that. They also knew that this was... I was doing a soft launch and delaying this because the fact of the matter is that you can buy it right now on Amazon, and you can just look up Dana Morrison, or you can look up the Beetle Experience, and you've got it on Amazon available right now, and that is available in both Kindle and paperback right now for $13.99 for paperback, $5.99 for the Kindle version. Now, this is the killer. It bugs me about this, but it's just the way life is. Why are my copies taking so long? We can go onto Amazon and you can buy it right now and have it delivered on the 17th. Because author copies, Amazon doesn't make as much money on author copies. They go to the bottom of the pile. So they don't print them on priority, the same priority as they print everything else. And that's why it's taking long. I didn't know that in advance, else I would have just ordered the paid full price to just get you sponsors your copies. It is what it is. I've got like 45 copies coming for the sponsors and with that to be sold with that special gift. So that's kind of the deal. So there's going to be 3 places in summary. There's 3 places that you're going to be able to go. You know what? I'm not sharing my screen. I didn't even show you. All right, I give you 3 guesses. I'm going all over the place. Amazon. Amazon is where you can get it in Kindle and paperback right there. And so, like I said, author copies are taking a less priority to the fulfillment that's online. Now, please, 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 this is something that would hugely help this project. And I think when you read it, and I know, Marilyn, you read right through it in one sitting, and understand the impact of the book. It really helps if you take the time to leave a review, a product review. And maybe that review is even just a Beetle story, something like that. Or if you want to wait until you read the book and then leave a review after the fact, that's great too. But you'll see, I already noticed like the book is, if you jump down to this ranking here, not that I care too much about this, but I do like stats. It's number 805 in Christian death and grief. I really don't like the title of that category, but this will jump up a lot quicker, especially if people take the time and leave reviews and all of that. It really helps it kind of get on people's radar. And I'm telling you, the book has a very, very encouraging ending. So that would be awesome if you could take the time to make sure that you do a little review of that when you purchase it or maybe after you get it and read it. But it'd be great to see some Beatles stories in there as well. Okay, closing screen here. So there are these different places that you can get in. By the way, it is all rights reserved. So I can actually, because I've done this on the screen and actually showing you a copyright, means that I could actually read for you a portion of the book. If you want to hear a little bit of the opener, how does that sound? Marilyn, I laughed, I cried, took me right back to that day. Absolutely recommend it. Could not put it down, Marilyn says. So anyway, that's great. And so what I'm going to do is, and again, this is read by the author, all rights reserved, which means that I can read it, but you can't chop this up and use it for your own thing. So let me jump to a little bit. Let me jump to Who is Beetle. So this is part of the preface of the book, and so let me just read you a little bit of the preface of the book. Who is Beetle? Beetle, noun. I gotta fix my chair. Beetle, noun, a laughter-generating, treasure-hunting, car rebuilding, church-going, movie-quoting, Sasquatch hunting, model rocket-making bundle of laughter, and the best friend of a man named Dana. Used in a sentence, it was the worst day of my life. Then Beetle showed up and it was the best. No, the only ones that I know didn't refer to him as Beetle were his oldest brother, Jimmy, and his next oldest brother, Mark. They mostly called him Stephen or Steve. Side note here, Mark actually told me that he called him Stevie Weevy. I'm not sure why they didn't call him Beetle. My guess is that since Jimmy and Mark did not get much of a chance to witness Stephen's life in Danforth area, they simply knew him as Stephen. Whatever name you know him by, Stephen, Steve, or Beetle, one thing is certain: he made you laugh. Here's a picture of course, everything in here is black and white, but there is a picture of him from that was taken, looks like it was taken in the hardware store. You can see lists of lumber prices and stuff on the board behind him. Created for joy. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Then he made Beetle. Scripture tells us in Proverbs 17:22 that a cheerful heart is good medicine. In Stephen Bailey, God created a medicine man and one highly proficient in his work. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2:10, that's ESV. God imparted humor to mankind, and to Stephen he gave a super heaping dose. From birth to his final breath, Beetle is living joy. And so began a life of laughter that would ripple through family, friends, and faith alike. This is where the story starts. Let me jump back another little section here, maybe. All right, we'll jump into one more section. I got like 5 minutes, and then I have a hard stop. I'm sorry, guys. Let's read a little bit of this scene one, getting warmed up. After I have a sip of hot chocolate. You better put questions in the in the comments there if you've got questions, because I'll have to squeeze them in on a bullet train here. Scene one, getting warmed up. Memoir narration, Dana. You've taken your seat now in the front row of the Beetle Experience. It is a small theater with a small stage. A velvety red curtain remains closed, and light music plays in the background. Neighboring members of the audience chit-chat with small-town talk, and you feel right at home. Coming into this theater is like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers. The music and the lights fade in unison. The conversations come to a lull. Everyone anticipates what will happen next. You hear the flick of a spotlight which warms to a glow pointing skyward. There's a heavenly glow. God, have you considered what I'm doing with this man Stephen? Satan hissing. Yes, I despise his sense of humor. God smiles. Spotlight returns to earth and the lights dim again. Though dark, you can faintly see the curtains opening and you hear the squeak of the curtain's cable being pulled by hand. You again hear the flick of a loud switch operating the spotlight. A yellow glow of the spotlight warms to a soft circle on the stage with an empty stool, but there's no one there. Spotlight searches left and right, and then you hear a ow! There's a chuckle from the audience if someone tried to give someone a kiss, as if someone tried to give someone a kiss in a dark room and got slapped. Anybody who was around Beetle when the lights got turned out is very familiar with this. Oh, that had to be Beetle. Somehow he was sitting near you in the audience, but he's supposed to be on stage as Stephen, the given name by his parents. Dana from stage gives a loud whisper. Stephen, get up here. The audience laughs loudly. Stephen sheepishly walks to the stage as his old character, Stephen sheepishly walks to the stage as his old character, Stephen, Rubik's Cube in hand. Stephen, who, me? You see as a young man, plump, fair-skinned, and freckled. His brown hair is flat on his head. He is wearing an unbuttoned flannel shirt over a dirty work shirt, worn-out blue jeans, and dirty steel-toe boots. He has a folding lock-blade knife in his leather sheath on his belt. The mustache of this 13-year-ish face is somewhat thin, but definitely intentional. It has been trying to break free since he was 5, only being held back by puberty. As he stands, he occasionally looks to his hands where he is making the last couple moves to solve a Rubik's Cube. The spotlight widens. Dana and Stephen are now both on stage, sitting on stools. Dana to the audience. Welcome to the Beetle Experience. I am Dana, and this is the star of the show, Stephen. I will need to play a couple roles while we watch Stephen's life unfold. 1, I will play Stephen's best friend. 2, I will often turn to you, the audience, and narrate as we watch various scenes unfold and give you some backstory here and there. Sit back, relax, and enjoy how God used this best friend in my life as a reflection of his own sense of humor. Stephen, protesting. What? So this is how we're going to do this? I'm the main character? You never said I was going to be the main character. Dana, yep. Let's just play it out and live out our fun times together. Stephen, but me? Why me? You dragged me here for this to be made a spectacle of? I can just hear Stephen saying this. No one is making a spectacle of you. We cherish you and the memories of you. Besides, you don't have any choice. You are what I have left of the memories of my mind, and that's it. Got it? Besides, we're going to Taste of China in Holton as soon as we finish. Stephen, relenting. Well, I guess so if we have to. I do like Chinese food, and I can snatch up a copy of the Coffee News. Memoir narration, Dana. What you noticed about Stephen was a warm, kind, gentle face and contagious smile. You also saw unique humility. His smile spoke directly to your heart, saying, I'll do anything for you. But it wasn't a line he even needed to read. You just knew it. Dana, now again to the audience. Welcome to the Beetle Experience. I am Dana, and this is the star of the show, Stephen. We'll call him Stephen for now, at least. Stephen, jumping in. My dad is the only man I knew who ever got a sunburn on the roof of his mouth. Memoir commentary. This story was true. His dad had been sleeping at the beach and lying in such a way that the sun shone straight up into the top of his mouth while he was snoring away. He got blisters from what I'm told. Stephen, my dad was the only guy I knew that could look like he was fast asleep in church but could remember every word. Dana, also true. My dad, Dana Morrison, had been a Sunday school teacher for one of the adult classes and recalled Jimmy could remember in great detail what was being discussed, even when he looked like he was fast asleep. Stephen also had this knack and shared his father's gift of an exceptional memory. Dana, and your dad was a storyteller. Stephen, yeah, Dad came home one day laughing up a storm. You tell this one, Dad. The stage lights up, a new spotlight as Jimmy Sr. steps on stage. He is dark-haired, wearing blue button-up shirt and dark pants. He is also plump and soft-spoken. His flat, dark hair comes almost to the eyes of his round face. As Jimmy smiles, you can't help but smile in return, and you can see where Stephen gets many of his physical features. Jimmy starts storytelling. There was a guy at work that just kept telling these long tales. No one believed him. Story after story, he just kept spinning unbelievable tales. Well, I said to him, well, I got one for you. Up here we have this creature. It's brown in the summer. It's white in the winter. Besides having long, hairy, pointy ears and big front teeth, in the winter it grows these great big hairy snowshoes on its feet and runs around on top of the snow. Stephen, tell him what he said. Jimmy, the guy was baffled and paused and then said, I've heard a lot of stories in my day, but I ain't never heard of no creature with hairy, long, pointy ears and big teeth that grows any big old hairy snowshoes on its feet. You got me beat. There's laughter from the stage and from the audience. Stephen, my dad loves music, though he loved a lot of gospel music. Billy Spear was his favorite. Memoir narration, Dana. Billy Spear had sung smoothly in a relaxing low tone. He had been a large man with a heart for the Lord even bigger. Billy and his wife Paula traveled and sang at churches, conferences, and even Living Waters, which we will talk about later. Stephen, yeah, if the car was moving, Billy Spear was playing on the 8-track. I kid you not, they had an 8-track in their car. Memoir footnote, Dana. If you don't know what an 8-track was, it's what existed before we used cassette tapes. If you don't know what cassette tapes are, they're what we used before we used CDs. If you don't know what CDs are, they were used before MP3s. Ask your kids if you aren't sure what MP3s are. Stephen with a closing tribute to his dad. Think of it this way. My dad loved Billy Spear so much that wherever we went in our family car, Billy Spear was there singing to us. It was as if he had been in the back seat the whole time. Spotlight on Jimmy fades and he quietly exits. Dana to the audience. You see how that went? Just like that, Jimmy was in this story. Then we were back to Stephen. That's how it's going to go. There will be some narration and commentary. There will be live action with Stephen, also known as Beetle, and others on the stage. With that, here we go. Let's all shift into the days before Beetle was known as Beetle. End of scene 1. And with that, I'm going to have to go. I don't see any questions in here in the comments right now. But I thank you all so much for making this a possibility. It really means so much to me. The support, I just can't say enough. Everybody's just been so tremendously supportive. I know that if you get this book, you're going to love it. Whether or not you knew Beetle, you're going to connect with the story, the thread of the story of Beetle's life. So it weaves through hardship, it weaves through camp, it weaves through him through his final days. And it is a story that is worth telling. It's a story that's worth sharing. And I hope so much that it will encourage you all. So thank you again for making the Beetle experience a possibility. I love you all. And please let me know if you have any questions. Contact me. And if the book touches your heart, then you can email. There's an email address in the book, in the back of the book, dana@beetlebook.com. You can let me know how the book has been a blessing so that we can also share that on the homepage, the beetlebook.com homepage. That's www.beetlebook.com. If you want to get the copy with the magnet when they are available, I can't tell you for sure when. It could be a week, 10 days, it could be 2 weeks, might not make it to Christmas. I've got no idea, but if you'd like that copy with the special magnet that comes with it, then you can go there and I will update the quantities that are available as soon as they come in. As soon as I've got all of the supporter copies taken care of, I'll populate that with some inventory so that you can order it from www.beetlebook.com with the magnet. Thank you all so much. I can't say enough how, you know what? Let me end with prayer here before we go. God, I'm so thankful for the community of people that have been around this project. I thank you so much for the inspiration that you gave to make this project a reality. Father, it's yours. It's not my book. It's yours. It's yours to use however you see fit. It's not for me. It's for you. It's for your kingdom. It's to glorify your name. And we know that Beetle's life praised you to the end, a man who did not shake his fist at you, even though he had a pretty drastic diagnosis with cancer. A phenomenal story. And may you use it however you desire. Father, I just pray that it would be a joy to those that read it and that would open their eyes to your love and to the kingdom. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I thank you all. I'm going to leave the closing slide up here for a little bit, the places that you can buy the book. Thank you all so much. God bless.